Hi, so if you've already seen a video on Ciao Rita, that was the simple version for beginners. Now, in this video, it's going to start very similar, but the difference is that this is the advanced version, so it features tips on how to do sleeve plackets, cuffs, and a hem facing. So it's a great blouse to do for all genders, so have fun sewing. So we're going to start by placing the back and front pattern pieces right sides together. We've marked our pieces, the back side at the reverse side of the fabric with an X, so you can easily see while you watch the video what is the reverse side. So we're placing right sides together, we're pinning along the shoulder area, and then we are going to stitch with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Always remember to start and finish with a back stitch. Now we're going to overlock the raw edges of the shoulder seams using our serger. If you don't have an overlocker machine, you can then use a zigzag stitch. Now we're going to work on the neck facing, so we're right sides together matching the short ends, the shoulder edges, and we are sewing the facings together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now we're going to press open the seams to reduce the bulk around the neckline. Now working from the right side of the fabric, we're going to overlock the outer edge of the neck facing to create a clean finish. Now we're going to place the facing onto the blouse neckline, and right sides together we're pinning all the way around. We're aligning the shoulder seams of the facing with the shoulder seams of the blouse, and we're pinning in place. Then we're going to stitch around the pinned neckline using a 0,5 seam allowance. Carefully make a diagonal snip into the base of the neck opening, being careful not to cut through the stitching. Make small snips all around the curved sections of the neckline, up to but not through the stitch line, to allow the fabric to sit flat. Then we're going to turn the facing toward the inside of the garment, ready to press. So now with our facing towards the inside of the garment, we're pressing all the way around thoroughly. Now we're going to secure the facing by pinning it flat against the inside of the blouse, and then working from the inside, we're going to sew along the outside edge of the facing. That's where we had the overlock stitching, and we're following the overlock stitching to create a secure finish that holds the facing in place. Working from the front side, that's the front of the blouse, we're going to fold the fabric at the base of the front opening to create a neat, small pleat. We're aligning the pleat so it's centered and symmetrical, and we're pinning it securely. Then we're going to sew a small rectangular box stitch across the folded area at the base of the placket to hold the pleat permanently in place. Now for the sleeve 3/4 with the cuff, we're going to open the sleeve piece flat so that we have the right side facing up, and we're going to place the placket under, right side up, underneath the sleeve split. We're then going to sew along the raw edges of the sleeve slit with a 0,5 centimeter seam allowance. As you reach the V, the top of the slit, slightly move the fabric so you're just sewing a few threads away from the top of the cut. With the needle down, carefully pivot the fabric and continue sewing along the other side of the edge at a 0,5 centimeter seam allowance until you reach the end. Then we're going to it's better to press the placket piece away from the sleeve, and then we're going to fold the outer edge of the placket towards the inside by 1 centimeter, and then we're going to fold it over again another 1 centimeter to cover the initial stitching line. We're then going to top stitch along the edge of this hem to secure the binding. Then fold the sleeve in half, right sides together, so the placket edges meet. At the top of the placket, the corner, stitch a small diagonal line across the binding. This reinforces the top of the slit and prevents it from tearing. Trim away any excess fabric from the placket at the sleeve hemline. The open pattern piece of the sleeve, we're going to place this against the bodice armhole, right sides together, and we're aligning our notches and pinning the two pieces together. A tip is here, when you're positioning your work ready to sew, make sure that the sleeve is on the bottom so it's touching the feed dogs and the armhole is on the top. The feed dogs will help ease the slightly larger sleeve head into the armhole without puckers. We're stitching the seam with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. So once you've finished sewing the seams of your armhole for both sides, we're then going to overlock from the wrong side the raw edges that we've just sewn. We're going to align the front to the back at the side seams. So we're going to start by pinning our sleeves from the edge where we've just finished our placket off previously. We're going to pin up through there and under the underarm, and we're going to join the front to the back. Then we will stitch with our usual seam allowance, and we'll stop at the end of the bottom where there's a notch, and that indicates the start of the side slits. So now we're going to fold our cuff in half and lengthways, and we're going to press. Then we'll open that, and then on one of the edges we're going to turn up along the long edge 1 centimetre and also give that a press. Now fold back to the crease that you previously pressed when you pressed the cuff in half. Fold the fabric back to that point so that the right sides are together and pin the two short sides. We're now going to stitch along these two short sides with our usual seam allowance. You snip the corner to reduce bulk and then turn the cuff to the right side. Now press well both cuffs ready to attach to our Ciao Rita. Starting from the placket of the sleeve, we're going to start to pin the cuff around the sleeve. So we're pinning the right side of the cuff with the edge that we haven't finished to the wrong side of the sleeve. Now we're pressing our sleeve from the wrong side, especially around the area of the cuff that we've just attached, making sure that the stitching is being pressed towards the end of the sleeve, the cuff. Now the area that we did previously press under by 1 centimetre of the cuff, when it's brought to the inside of the sleeve, you'll find that that will cover the stitching of the sleeve where we attach the cuff to the sleeve. So we're pinning around this area, making sure that the stitching line is covered by our neat folded edge, and then we will sew along the top of this, along this line as a top stitch to block the cuff in place. Finished attaching our cuff, it might be advisable to try on the cuff to see exactly where you want to position the button and the buttonhole. These are indicated on the pattern pieces, but it's always better just to double check that that's the right position for your wrist. Attaching our button to the cuff. If you are needing a lovely mother of pearl button to finish off your blouse, check out on Fabrics by Hilary, because we have an amazing selection of beautiful buttons. Working on our hem facing, we're bringing right sides together, and at the short edge we're going to vertically stitch down along the long edge a couple of centimeters, and the same for the other side. Now we're overlocking on the outside edge of our facing all along the ring that we have created. Now we're going to align the facing to our blouse. So we're going to start to pin the facing to the blouse, matching up the side seams of the blouse where the slits are and the front and back of the blouse, pinning all the way, and we're pinning the edge that we haven't overlocked to our blouse. Now we're going to sew our facing to the blouse, and we're starting at the top of the side slit, sewing down and all the way around the hemline with a 0.5 centimeter seam allowance. That will then make it easier to turn our facing to the inside. We're pressing the facing that we've just attached to our blouse. We're pressing the seams away from the blouse, so towards the bottom of our facing that we've just stitched. This will help us to then turn the facing up and press again, keeping everything nice and flat. And we're going to show you how we're pressing all the way around the bottom and the side slits, so we get this lovely pressed finish ready to top stitch. Now we're pinning the area that we've just pressed of our facing, our hem facing. We're pinning that in place, ready to stitch. Now for the final touch, we're positioning our magnetic sewing gauge to the distance of 2 centimeters, and we are going to top stitch around the hem and the side slits to secure this facing from rolling outwards. Hi, so if you've been sewing along with Maria Rosa, you have now completed the advanced version of Ciao Rita. It's a great blouse, and it can also be made up as a shirt, so it's for all genders. Great for all seasons, depending on the fabric you choose. So whether you've chosen a lovely linen or a silk or a flannel or a heavier weight cotton for the winter, you can make it loads of times. I love belting mine to bring it up a bit and make it a little bit more dressy in a lovely silk. My favorite blouse, Ciao Rita.